Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you are lucky enough to be doing it too, I'm Bushka on Blitz, and it's great to be back here for another dose of the hot salts. This time, the Leo 1, the absolute, love it or hate it, it's a tough tank to play. This is the advanced tactical guide for the Leo 1. It's a patron-sponsored post, and I want to take this moment to thank all of you, not just the Patreon guys, but everyone who's subbed to the channel, who watches it, who contributes in the comments section, who says g'day in game, who sends me messages, who activates and jumps on Facebook and posts up links and comments and gets involved in the discussion. You're making the channel and the game a better place, and I really, really appreciate it. Everything's coming up Millhouse, as they say in The Simpsons. So here we go, the Leo 1. Something about this tank draws you back. I mean, the gun is superb. It's very, very quick. Its mobility is great. I mean, the gun's a laser. It is literally a laser. It is as good. It is the gold standard for weapons, just about. You've got 8 degrees of gun depression. Your camo is pretty good, but it suffers from some big issues, and they're not always the fault of the tank. If people wish to push on you, this is the fault of the tank. You have such bad armor that everything will pen. If 2 tier 8s pushing you like they do here, you're going to get penned. And that's just the name of the game. If you leave yourself in a position where people can YOLO and hit point trade, unlike being in an Object 140 or a T54 or a strong medium, you're going to get hammered. And there is nothing you can do about that. But the way the maps are, they've flattened a lot of the maps out, and they've put dunes and berms and things like that in, which break the ground up and don't give you these big sniper zones where you could camp and use camouflage and gun depression to make a living. And because of that, you're going to find that there's a lot fewer maps these days that are Leo 1 friendly. And you've got to be really, really careful with the way you use the tank. And as you can see here, if people push on you, it doesn't matter if it's a Cent and an RU-251. There's an IS-8 popping here, and there's some people on the right, but they're going to pen you every single bloody time. It's just nothing you can do about it. And it's really frustrating, and it's one of the reasons I don't recommend this tank to someone who is an inexperienced driver. It will absolutely gut you. It costs a lot of credits to run, and it's not easy to play. You've got to be very map aware, and if you get frustrated or you suffer from ping problems like hello me, like in Australia, it will really, really cause you consternation. On the positive side, my God, it's a thrill a minute when it works. The gun is a laser beam. It's quick as blazes, and it can put up big numbers given very, very limited opportunities. So let's get to talking about how you use it. Now, I want to talk about one thing in particular. When you don't have armor and you don't have a light tank's camo, you've got to find ways to get by and not get drilled, basically. So when you make a mistake, you're going to look for your team to help out. One of the good things about this tank is it's quick enough to get to good positions, and it's quick enough to get out of bad positions. We're going to drop in here. The rest of the team pops on our right hand side. This is a bad spot because right away we're hit point trading, and that T62, I mean, you're going to see Australian ping at its best here. Oh, there you go. That T62A is in a position where it can smash us, but there's a Jagdpanzer E100 behind me, and it's one of the reasons why I was happy sitting there at that hill. And that means that you've got a big angel on your shoulder, and anyone that pops around that corner is going to get absolutely filled up. And because of that, we're a little bit safer here than it would appear. They're going to get stuck in front of us, and we're going to use the big guns behind us to keep us safe, pop out and put shots in. So even though we've got very, very limited hit points, we're just dragging them around and hoping that someone behind us will smash us. And you'll see that T54, he's going because he knows it's a one shot. There's a 44. We're going to use the mobility of the tank to get back away from that 54. The Jagdpans and the rest of the team will slowly whittle them down, and we'll win this one. But that's what I mean by this tank is seat of the pants stuff. It really is. Its gun's so good, but if you make one mistake, like one mistake in positioning, you will pay every single time, and quite often you'll pay with your entire hit point pool, or just about, as you saw there with me. Now, we did enough damage. We did 3.5 odd K, and we played in a very, very circumspect manner once we got rid of our hit point pool. But you're going to find you need to conserve that hit point pool throughout the entire game, or you're going to be absolutely in dire peril, because once you get low on your hit points, experienced players know that they can push up on you and simply hit point trade a couple of shots, because every one of their shots is going to go in and you're screwed. Unless you've got a big buddy behind you like that Jagdpanzer E100 that I had there. So always be conscious of conserving your hit point pool, and don't put yourself in positions like I did in those first 2 games where you're giving the enemy shots at you and inviting them to brawl, because once you do that and they come in, you're going to drop hit points. There's no way around it. And once you drop hit points, you become a really viable target for any tank that has enough hit points to walk up to you and smack. Now this is a desert themed review, isn't it? The advanced tactical guide, and one of those reasons is probably because this tank thrives in open spaces and situations where it can get to flanks and put shots in. Now, we drop adrenaline early here. The argument for it is that the gun's really getting a chance to work on a really good priority target, and that's this 215B. Big tank to kill in the game. Probably the best heavy on their team, and we've got an opportunity to perma-track him and keep him at the back. So that's what we do. And you're going to see some shots here which will just illustrate to you how effective this gun is. Now, we make a mistake here. We try to switch to HE, but we don't have a clear shot at a HE target, so we just pump one in the very corner of that Pershing's turret, switch back to APCR and start doing the business. And look at it go. I mean, it's got a great reload, it's got high DPM, it's got exceptionally good dispersion at 0.30, very quick aim time. 350 alpha is nothing to scoff at in the medium. If you give this tank limited opportunities, I mean, look at it, it just keeps performing. The gun is superb. But when you have to push, and we've got to go and push here because we can't leave Hoodie there in the IS-4 all on his own. When you have to push, wow, you want to be sure about where you're pushing to and how you're pushing, because you're going to get hammered. You're going to lose hit points regardless, and you can see how good the gun is here. Still just needs a tiny slither of daylight and it can drop anyone. So the big deal here for us is we're rolling forward. They've got 2 T-Rexes left, an Object 268 and an E100. We put one into this Tiger 2, but we're going to leave him. We're just going to accept that we're going to get hit by him. We want to nail that 268. The 268 is pushing up on Hoodie, and we want to make sure that we're there in a situation to help Hoodie out, and then we're going to use the actual building here to stop us from getting smashed. So we've pulled all the way around here. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Experienced drivers, he knows I am such an easy pen from there. He is desperately trying to get shots to the point where he is not going to be even cognizant of the fact that Hoodie is coming up on his right. The E100, God, he should have filled me up there, but he didn't. Gave me the opportunity, we make the most of it. He's going to turn around. Hoodie's got some hit points left, so we use the mobility of the Leo 1 and we start pushing around on the E100. Now, it is a tank that can easily COD bigger, heavier tanks like the E100, like the IS-4, like the ST1. I mean, you can COD pretty much anything in this tank. It's very, very quick. It's got very, very good soft stats. I mean, you're not T62A quick, but you're quick enough to keep most tanks in front of you. And if you're an experienced driver, you won't have a problem with that. We're going to let Hoodie finish up. We're just a bit worried about getting hit from behind by that Tiger 2, but Hoodie's got him all bamboozled, and we're going to win this one. And the E100's absolutely flummoxed. He can't figure out where he's going, what he's doing. His turret's behind him. It's all over for the poor E100. We've got one more map coming up after this, and this is where I find the tank excels. Big open maps that aren't cut up by dunes as this one is, or lots of rolling hills. There's been a real move away from those big open maps where you could snipe and be successful. Instead, we've moved to this meta where it's really overvaluing things like Russian mediums and tanks that can perform very, very well in close, fast brawl situations and go hull down. And that's certainly not the Leo 1. Bigger maps like this really suit it, where you can get out to corners and flanks and cover and snipe hard. Now, we make some mistakes here, but this is more about showing you the potential of the tank once you unleash it and get in a situation where it can just let the gun go. Now, this one, you might have seen this video on the Facebook page or on the Patreon. I did upload this as a private video to Patreon probably a month or two ago now, and there's more of those private videos coming, by the way, guys. So, I mean, there's a T31 up there as well, and there's some other stuff. Anyway, onwards and upwards. You can see we're out here on the flank. We've got no one in front of us, so it's just basically going to be a case of trying to pick targets and hit them, and that's it. I mean, look at the gun. Absolutely superb gun. That ST1 there, you know, just after I've given the gun a massive wrap, it goes and does that. Awesome stuff. Some people don't really respond well, and they will yell at you in this tank, carrying on like, oh, what were you doing? But this is what you're built for. You can't get up there. If you offer yourself as a target, you're just going to get penned. There is no way in the world that you want to be the tank that pushes up. Now, we've had some bad shots, but we're going to start picking it up. We've finally got some targets, so we drop adrenaline. We only track him. APCR, by the way, will lose effectiveness over distance a lot more than AP will. And you can see that mouse there, very tough pen. Even with heat at this range, it's a tough pen, the old mouse. But we've got to a flank where we're putting fire in. It's effective. This is what the tank was built for, guys. You'll want to snipe in this tank whenever you get the opportunity. There will be times when you need to move up, like I did with Hoodie there, and you need to start recognizing those times. But you want to get this gun in positions where it can be successful. We've got 6 other tanks in the team. There's 5 of them up in that corner, or there was 5 of them up in that corner. There's me and one other who are around about the traps. But they're all falling by the wayside, as is often the case. You can't win them all. We're still getting shots in. I mean, the velocity on the shells is pretty quick, which means that even at extended ranges like this, you can still put effective fire in. And when the targets disappear, it's time to shift arse and get back into it. Now, there's a couple at the back here. The Panther 2 hasn't really been effective, but it's a bit tough for him. It's a Tier X game. Always going to be very difficult to pull a Tier X game out. That T62A, I mean, you can't fault the gun on this tank. It's a lot of issues. It's got a lot of issues, but none of them are to do with the weapon. The weapon is absolutely stellar. We've got to nut this T62A and then move back. And it just keeps performing. I mean, 62A is a one-shot. We understand that we've got to get him first, and then we can worry about the T34. So we've just been effectively sniping the whole time. You can see it goes up hills very well, jinking backwards and forwards, just trying to basically give us time on a reload to do something. Went for the track there, but didn't get the shot as well. Unfortunate. Could have used those hit points. It's capable because it's so light, and it's got such a good it's such good power to weight ratio. It's capable of going up the Mines Hill, which is handy. Down to the last 3 now. It was 1 on 4, it's now 1 on 3, and we're getting out and about. Now, I can't remember if this map is, if this game is the one where the team gives me curry for not doing more. I mean, you've seen how many shots we've put in, you've seen how many tanks we've hit. It's just unfortunate that it can't be front line, but if you want to actually play a tank that's a good sniper, the STB-1 is an excellent hull down tank. It can hold hull down. However, what this tank can do that the STB-1 can't is hit and pen. The STB-1 has 0.36 dispersion and a bigger aim time. This tank can really pump out the damage once it's in a position to put shots in. However, we have a T110E3 left, a ST1 and a IS8, which means that we don't have a lot of hit points. We've got 2/3 of our hit point pool left, and all they've got to do is wait us out, maybe jump in cap, do something like that. So we've got to be a bit aggressive here, and this is why you save your hit points till the very end of the game. Tap one into the E3 and then keep moving. You don't want to be stationary when it's 1-on-3. The biggest benefit you have here over these other tanks is your incredible mobility. You're so quick, and you're basically just looking at using this gun, tiny little thing there, right into the lower glacis. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. IS-8 and E3 left. Not a lot of time though, and the clock is really our enemy here. We're just trying to duck one. We get a bounce from the IS-8. We take one from the E3, must have been firing high explosive, looking for the big kill. Nail the IS-8. Now I swear to God, I have been up these rocks many times in different tanks, and I thought there would be no qualms getting up these rocks whatsoever, but I was wrong. I did it incorrectly. Oh, good God. Oh, I can't watch. I track him and then I screw it up. Oh, good God. You know what? You never panic. You say you never panic, you say never panic, and then you panic and you lose it right at the end of the day. But I think that's a great game to illustrate how good this tank is when given the field to explore its options. So in summary, it's a hard tank to play. But you can see they're over 7,000 damage. If you get the opportunity, it's a tank that can absolutely drop a bundle of hit point damage on any team. You're going to have to be super aware of where everyone is on the map at all times. Because if you're not super aware of where everyone is on the map at all times, you are going to struggle to stay alive. The Leopard 1 is not a beginner's vehicle. If you're looking at a tank that's easy to play, go for an Object 140. Go for even an STB-1 or a T-62A. All those tanks, to a varying degree, can hull down and can absorb shots or have mechanisms to absorb shots. The Leo doesn't. The Leo is flat out about positioning and about awareness. If you are not map aware, if you do not pay attention, and at any point in time, if you stop the game and ask yourself, where is every tank on the map, and where have they spotted and where have they popped? If you don't know the answer to that question, then do not get this tank. The PTA is hard enough to drive. The Leo 1 is a whole other ball of wax, because even though it's a better tank than the PTA, it faces much stiffer competition, and it faces tanks that can regularly pen it for 1,000 hit points. Any of the Russian TDs or the American TDs or the FV215B can load up high explosive shells and pen you all over the tank, and it is a horrifying experience when you drop 90% of your hit points in one shot from making one mistake. Or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a grievous error, but you will pay for it every time. So, summary, be aware, be careful, and when you're being aggressive, make sure, for God's sakes, that you're utilising every bit of cover you possibly can, whether it's dead tanks, buildings, rocks, berms, camouflage. Oh, I just can't say it often enough, because I love this tank and I love driving it, even though it punishes your win rate at times. It's a thrill. It's a thrilling tank. So there you go, boys and girls, the Leo 1. Onwards and upwards. If you haven't already, please do think about sponsoring via Patreon. It's a hugely beneficial thing for the channel, and it lets me just do a whole lot more streaming and videos and spend a little bit of time at home in front of the laptop rather than with the missus on the couch. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Thank you very much for your patience and your continued support. Onwards and upwards, and stay safe on the battlefield.